Hi, this is Chuck Braverman, and this is episode number 54 of Westdoc Online. And as I like to say at the beginning of these episodes, it's going to be special because it really is. Not only do we have one terrific filmmaker today, we have two. And we're going to be talking about several different films. And we're on in time zones 9 hours apart, connecting us all here through our electronic setup. So before we get going, I just want to remind you that in part this is brought to you by Real Screen. And if you go to Westdoc Online and you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see a link, a Real Screen Online, and this is what it looks like. And they have a very unique event coming up June 2, 3, and 4, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And you can just see a small fraction of some of the speakers they're going to have there. I've gone to Real Screen Live, actually, probably for 20 years. And it's always been good because you meet people, you get to pitch projects if you feel like it's appropriate. And let's go on and do the episode. So today we have filmmakers, I believe Morgan Neville is here in Los Angeles, and Benjamin Ree is, I believe, in Norway. So let's say hello, guys. How are you?
Hi, Chuck.
Hello. Hello. Thank you for having us on the show.
Morgan, good morning. It's actually 8 o'clock in the morning here. You are in Los Angeles, is that right? At your home right now?
I am Pasadena in my home, just having my first coffee of the day. So I'm just waking up.
And Mr. Benjamin Ree, where are you speaking from, please?
I'm speaking from Oslo, Norway, the capital of Norway. Yeah.
And what time is it there? My goodness.
Now it's 5 p.m., so I'm not drinking coffee. That's way too late.
So we're here because the two of you are involved in a spectacular new film, which I watched the other day, called The Painter and the Thief. Benjamin, you want to start and tell us just a little bit about this film and what it's about and how it happened and that sort of thing?
So I began researching art robberies because I have a big fascination for art robbers. You have the high culture art and you have kind of low culture robbers. And at that time, I read on the front newspapers in Norway about an art robbery that caught my interest because the artist, the painter there, was not well known. And I followed the case, and after the trial, I contacted the painter Barbora Kysilkova. And I got to know that she had approached the thief in court and asked if she could paint the thief. And I found that so fascinating. Why did she do that? What did she want from me? Obviously, it was kind of a conceptual art project. It was a good idea, but why did she do it? So I began filming very early on in the process when they got to know each other. I actually got access to film the two of them, the painter and the thief, after they had met 4 times. And before that, we had a lot of archival footage. We were very fortunate that Barbara had been filmed a lot before I came along. So that's the beginning of the film, and it's a beginning of an unlikely friendship. The film started out as a short documentary, as a 10 minutes short documentary. And when I began filming, I did not know anything where the story might end up. So my approach was kind of classical cinema verite filming. So I was just observing them over time, trying to get access to crucial moments in their life. And one very important moment for me was when Carl Bertil, the thief, saw himself painted for the first time in the film. And this is like Carl Bertil, the thief. He's a really tough guy, a lot of tattoos. He's been spent many years in prison. But when he saw himself painted, he begins crying for 10 minutes. And that was so powerful. When we filmed that, I began to realize this is not going to be a short documentary, it's going to be a bigger documentary. And I kept on filming for 3 years. And I don't want to reveal too much, but I can say something about what we're exploring here. We explore the themes, so what we humans do in order to be seen and appreciated, and what it takes of us to see others and appreciate others. And what is kind of a bit special about this film is the structure. So we first follow the story from the painter's point of view, and then we change perspectives and also jump back in time and see the world from the thief's point of view. And we do that to explore the themes more and give it more complexity. Since the film is about what we do in order to be seen, of course we need to see the world from the thief's point of view as well. So I hope that when you watch the film, that will come as a bit surprise and hopefully a pleasant surprise.
So let's take a look at the trailer for the film, and then we'll come back and talk about it a little more.
When I close the door, I start to paint. That's my universe.
2 paintings were stolen from a gallery in Norway today. The paintings were stolen in broad daylight.
I don't know what to think.
We have identified the thief. We have not found the painting.
We had his name from the court papers. You might know who I am. I'm just a curious person. What made you do it?
It was your masterpiece.
Since I'm a painter, I'd love to make a portrait of you. I'll ask you regularly to sit here.
I can tell you some more about how I got to be a criminal.
This guy is often quite self-destructive. It feels like that is his way to be seen. You can open your eyes now.
Whoa! What the f...
There was no way how I could see the thief in this guy.
Hun ser meg jævlig godt. Men hun glemmer av og til at jeg ser henne minst like godt.
I might never find out where the paintings are. Do you know anything about black market with art?
I have told you everything I remember, and that's the truth.
Hvorfor hjelper meg så mye?
You're the craziest person I've ever met.
Let's see what you're doing for me.
You inspire me.
This is insane. This is a very, very sneaky guy.
He's a bad boy, really bad boy. I started to search for the paintings.
You must know where it is.
Do you understand the risk?
Don't even try.
Just tell me.
Don't even try. I'm serious.
This is destructive.
So I'm glad to see you both have a big smile on your face, and I do too, because, there's something special that happens on some films, and there's some magic that takes place, and sometimes I think the filmmakers aren't even aware of the magic, and it certainly happens in this film. We watched it here the other night, and, not only are the people interesting, but of course her paintings are exquisite. And when we were setting up a few minutes ago, I heard your conversation about her selling a painting, and because I think the film is just coming out, and I wanted to say to you, whatever the value of her paintings were before the film, I guarantee you that they're going to skyrocket in value, because if it's not on television, it doesn't exist, or whatever some saying is. I don't know. I love the film. I think it's really powerful. How did Morgan get involved?
Well, I'll say that I'm really just a cheerleader here, because I saw the film at Sundance, and I fell in love with it. And we made the connection between the two of us, and we started talking, and Ben asked if I would kind of help. And so I'm I wish I could take more credit for the film, but I can't. I'm here just to say that I love the film as the number one fan, and just wanted to do everything I can do to get it out there. And so we were lucky enough to sell it to Neon, who's an amazing distributor, and getting it out there in the world. But the kinds of things I marveled at as a filmmaker are probably the same things you're marveling at, which is the tenacity to follow a story that's unraveling, and there very much could have gone nowhere, but it continues to take these interesting turns, and it feels like at every moment Benjamin was there with the camera getting these incredibly intimate, pivotal scenes. And so from a filmmaking point of view, you always wonder how do you invest your time? That's the thing you're investing. And it just seemed like Benjamin made this incredible string of incredible bets and how to spend his time, and got the film to unveil itself in this almost kind of scripted way, an incredible construction. So, I hats off to Ben and everything he's done.
So you say you spent 3 years doing the film. How many hours of footage you think you shot roughly?
This I have discussed with my editor. I said that at the Q&A at Sundance that it's probably over 250, and he didn't agree. He added, I think, 100 more hours to it. I haven't checked up, but it's a lot. I think it's around 350 hours of footage, and I think we had around 100 recording days. Although Morgan wasn't a part of the film before it was finished, Morgan has been a great influence on my filmmaking. And I think especially like making films that ask questions, like that's the most important thing, I think, to not just answer all these questions, but the way you use the cinematic language to ask interesting, fascinating questions. So the way Morgan does that in his films has been a big influence on me. So I was the one that approached Morgan and asked if he wanted to be a part of the film and the campaign and everything.
What was the question in your film, would you say?
The questions we are asking in the film is there's two main questions. What we humans do in order to be seen and appreciated. What do we humans do to be seen and appreciated? And what it takes of us to see and appreciate others. So that's the main two questions we're asking in the film. And the scene I was describing earlier when Carl Bertil sees himself painted for the first time and he begins crying, I think that really sums up the film in many ways. And I don't want to kind of reduce that into words, but have a look at that scene. It's about 15 minutes out in the film. And I think that hopefully we ask those questions in a cinematic way in that scene. And that is what we're exploring throughout the whole film. I think that the subtext of every scene in the film explores those themes.
Well, we did get to see a little bit of that in the trailer. It goes on a bit longer in the film. And it is stunning and shocking because the image of the guy is a tough guy, whether he, really is tough or not. I mean, he does look like a tough guy. And if it was nothing but the tattoos, and then he just is, I can't begin to explain it. It's such an emotional moment. And I was thinking about it a lot, trying to think. I mean, it is the iconic moment in the film, and I can only guess that it was that somebody saw him for the first time. That he in the film it comes out that he didn't have a great childhood, and now someone is paying attention to him and shining the light on him, and I love, there's a moment in the film too where he says, and I hope I'm not giving away anything, but he says at the beginning, I was suspicious of Barbara, right? And thinking that maybe she was going to trick me or something like that. And it all seemed to turn. There's a lot going on between the two of them there that's sort of implied, inferred, or hinted, or whatever. Do you want to tell us anything else about about their relationship?
They developed a friendship, but it's a certain kind of strange chemistry between the two of them. And I think also the reason why I made this film was to try to understand that chemistry better, because, you know, there's very kind of contrast between a painter and a thief. And maybe like filming for 3 years, I began realizing they are very much alike. But I think it's difficult to explain, like talking about the scene we just talked about, to kind of reduce it to words. I think that's a bit difficult with this film. And I think that's also why I made the film. Because I think that the scene we talked about when Carl Buckley sees himself painted, and also the film and their friendship or special relationship, I think it's so difficult to describe in words, so I had to make a film about it to try to understand it better, if you know what I mean. And maybe I don't really know the true nature of their friendship, but I think it's something special, and I'm curious what you have to say about it. My answer is kind of the film, but what do you think after watching the film?
Well, there's also a scene in the film where Barbara, is that the way you pronounce her name? Was it spelled?
Yes, correct.
Barbara. She has a boyfriend, and she's sitting with the boyfriend, and she is trying to explain her relationship with Carl. And at one point she says, "I love him very much," or something to that effect. And you're assuming that she's saying it in a friendship kind of a way, but it's still an awkward moment, I think, for her, and maybe in retrospect when she sees it, you know, maybe not, I don't know. It just sort of begs the question in some ways, but I think you handle it perfectly in the film in terms of you kind of leave some of the questions unanswered, which is just fine, you know.
And that's not always like my choice. Maybe I don't know that much, and maybe like what you see in the film is what I know so far about their friendship. I think it's a special thing. They have a really unique chemistry, and you just need to experience it through the film and make up your own mind.
I like to ask sort of the geeky tech questions. I noticed you were also credited as one of the cameramen. So what kind of camera did you shoot, and was it all handheld, or did you have sticks, and that sort of thing?
It's shot on Sony FS5 camera. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
I have a Sony FS5. Yes, I like that very much.
Okay, I like that very much too. And we use it for handheld filmmaking. Some parts of it are shot with a tripod, and especially like in prison when Bertil is getting a little bit and more steady, the camera becomes more steady. I thought that was a bit funny to do, to make the camera work become more steady when he is getting more steady. So that's the only part we use a bit of tripod.
I also would like to ask, so it took 3 years. How was this financed? Who paid for this? Did you have a network in Norway or European setup or something, or did you do it yourself, or how did that work?
It was through Carl Buckley's drug dealing. So we got a lot of money from drug dealing. It was financed from the Norwegian Film Institute. And also that was kind of the funding from the kind of statal funding. And then we also had VGTV, which is the company I work at, that had the private funding. And we also had another TV fund in Norway that supported the project. So it was, I think it was like 40% private and 60 government state funding.
And did you have any connections helping you get into Sundance, or did you just submit it?
Actually, that came as a surprise. We didn't have any connections to Sundance at all. So I was pitching the film at a place called Nordic Panorama. And also have to add that the film was developed at IDFA, like IDFA summer school. So, but at Nordisk Panorama, someone from Sundance just showed up. So, and I pitched the project back then. So I guess they noticed the project, and then we just applied the film to Sundance. And but we had no expectations that it would be a part of the festival.
And beside the promotion of the film and trying to talk Barbara out of some of her paintings, what else are you working on in the future?
I'm working on 2 new feature documentaries. One of the documentaries I've begun filming. It's about one of the best illusionists in the world. I can't say that much more about the project, but of course I would love to do that. But hopefully that will be ready in a few years. So I'm doing a new project now, and it's great to be back with the Sony FS5 camera filming.
Yes, I'm a big fan of the camera too. I actually have one.
And Ben, you should say that you filmed about 70% of the film too yourself.
Yes, I did. So the cameraman, Christopher Kumar, he could only be part of the project at certain times. This is a project where you just need to cancel your Easter vacation and just go to the hospital and film, or just cancel all your dates for a week and just go to Halden prison and film. So it's not many people that can do that. So I think that I'm the only person that could do that. So that's why it's filmed 70% by me. And I also feel like how you use the camera, of course, there's artistic choices to that. So I feel like people, a journalist from The Guardian asked me, why didn't I put myself into the film, like with the narration and myself? And I answered, I really feel that I'm there because I'm there with the camera all the time. And I think that my personality comes across in how we tell the story and also how we use the camera. So I think that all of these choices are both artistical choices, but also I think ethical choices. Important element in documentary, like how you use the camera, how you tell a story is so crucial to how people come across to the audience at the end, to add many dimensions and complexity to the subjects.
Did you have a sound person with you most of the time in these intimate
No.
scenes, or no? No sound. So what did you do? Have wireless on them?
Yes, wireless on them all the time. I'm laughing a bit now because the sound designer criticized us a bit because I used automatic sound in many scenes. It's so like when you're filming and focus and positioning and also like being there for the person, I think it's sometimes difficult to also be the sound person of a scene. So we used a bit of automatic sound in the film. But
don't tell anybody that. That's terrible. But you can't tell in the film. I can hear. My son is a sound designer, so I could hear him saying, pulling his hair out.
Just on some scenes we did that. But this week we got a really nice comment from a great sound designer that paid the compliments to the film. So then I was very, very happy.
So one of the things you just said a moment ago was about a journalist friend that said something like, well, why didn't you put yourself in the film and why don't you narrate it? And I have to tell you that I'm so happy that you didn't, because you became the classic fly on the wall. And there are moments there where I say, like, the classic moment when he reacts to the film. He's obviously not thinking about you and the camera or anything else. He's just emotionally having this reaction. And the entire film, you are invisible, which is great. You molded the story and you tell the story and you are there in your storytelling. But that's another thing about this film is there's never a moment where I feel like there's a camera being there that shouldn't be there. It's almost like the camera is invisible. You're invisible, and it's like I say, there's something magical about the film that I think is going to resonate with an awful lot of people. So now, where can people see this film now? I know where I saw it. Where can they see it now?
It's on Hulu.
Hulu,
sorry. It's on. I could say whatever. Hulu. And it's on all the TVOD streaming, like iTunes and stuff like that.
Yeah, I wish I had known it was on Hulu. I wouldn't have had to pay for it when I streamed it. And Hulu is quite good these days. I've just subscribed to Hulu. I think you don't realize yet what you've done. If you want to know the truth, I think you'll find out in a few years. I think that this film is going to be around and it's going to be studied in schools, and I'd like to run it in my documentary class at CSUN. Maybe you can come on as a guest and talk about it afterwards online.
I would love to do that, and thank you so much for your kind words. It really means a lot to me, and I think that getting all these nice comments, I think it truly means a lot to me. I think it does a lot to my self-confidence. That's important for my upcoming projects. So thank you so much. It really means a lot.
It's an amazing thing, actually.
Diversity.
This is incredible.